It's safe to say that the Vic Fangio era in Denver officially kicked off on Tuesday, as the Denver Broncos convened for organized team activities. It was the first time Fangio has been able to get his hands on the veteran players and begin to build something resembling a team. Phase 1 of OTAs is all about the weight room and the classroom, but mostly the latter. The Broncos are learning a new offensive and defensive system, so every minute the team gets to spend in the classroom assimilating the new playbooks, as fullback Andy Janovich said, is an opportunity to sharpen every tool you have. It'll be a while before the Broncos are able to take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it on the practice field. What this phase of OTAs allows for media and fans is the chance to at least begin to get a beat on how this team is shaping up. The NFL draft is around the corner and soon the Broncos will be on the clock. Don't miss out on any news and analysis. Take a second to sign up for our free Broncos newsletter, delivered 3 times daily. The 2019 Denver Broncos are incomplete, as the draft class and college free agents won't arrive until the end of April. But this past week of OTAs did afford us the opportunity to get a feel for the energy and vibe of this new-look Broncos squad that is being reshaped in the image of Vic Fangio. What did we learn from week 1 of OTAs? Quite a lot, actually. Let's get into it. Vic Fangio is doing more than marking his territory. He's having to rebuild the Broncos team culture from the ground up, after consecutive years of incompetence at the hand of the previous coaching regime. Thus far, though, Fangio's approach hasn't fallen on deaf ears. He's received attentive and eager players, showing up early to soak it all in. Vic is a no-nonsense guy, old school. Andy Janovich said Thursday. "We're going to work hard. Not saying we didn't work hard last year, but I think people are excited about the changes. It's going to be good." Fangio's death by inches ethos is already coming out in the wash. And while it's too early to say whether it'll pay dividends, it's definitely reshaped the punctuality of the players. Second-year outside linebacker Bradley Chubb feels like the players are coming together more closely already. The players want to get better, and believe that buying into Fangio will get them there. "I feel like the culture is changing," Chubb said Thursday. "A lot of guys are holding each other accountable, whether that be in the weight room or in a meeting. If I'm not writing something down, OLB, Jeff Holland is checking me like, 'Make sure you write that down,' stuff like that." First team meeting, we started at 8 a.m. But guys were there at 7:55 in their seats. I remember a couple of times last year that guys would be rolling in at 7:59. Just a culture change like that. Everybody wants to be better than we were, better than 5 to 11 and 6 to 10. Vic Fangio is a passionate coach. He loves the teaching aspect of his job as a coach. His presentation to the team, going through his big-picture message, Fangio unsurprisingly focused on the little things, harkening back to his death by inches philosophy. "It was just technique, assignment and really just keep everything simple, but it's easier said than done," Von Miller said Tuesday. Coach Fangio, he's all about technique, assignment, intensity and effort, and I like that. He's an outside linebacker guru, and he's up next with me. The idea goes, if the Broncos embrace the execution of the little things, the big stage moments will take care of themselves. The last 2 years have featured woefully bad situational football, but a recommitment to the fundamentals, which is what John Elway loved about Fangio's pitch to be head coach, should pay dividends later on in the year when the Broncos are in key moments on the gridiron in games that count. The only snag in the proceedings this week has been the absence of 4-time Pro Bowl cornerback Chris Harris Jr. Chris chose not to attend this voluntary portion of OTAs, sending a direct message to GM John Elway that he wants resolution on a contract extension post-haste. The Broncos gave free agent signings Kareem Jackson $11 million per year, and Bryce Callahan $7 million APY. Needless to say, Harris's resume stands head and shoulders above that of both of his new cornerback teammates. Harris will likely accept nothing less than what the Broncos gave Jackson. In reality, after acquiescing to a team-friendly deal ahead of the 2015 season, Harris rightfully wants to get paid on a level commensurate with his contributions to the Broncos, and his individual accolades, which make the team look good. Von Miller isn't worried about Harris's absence. Miller knows from personal experience that sometimes a player has to make a business decision, and that at times the player has to look out for no one. It's optional, right? This is an optional period to be here, Miller said on day one of OTAs. We all know what type of pro Chris is on and off the football field. He's going to be ready to go whenever he's here, and if he's not here, he's still going to be ready to go. We're talking about Strap Harris. He can be on Mars and he's going to be Strap Harris. He's going through whatever he's going through right now and I support him 100%. When it's time to go, he's going to be ready to go. There's really not too much you can say about that. It's his 9th year coming up and whatever he has to do to get ready, I'm for it. Last season Von Miller played around 236 pounds. This time around, however, he's chosen to add a few lbs in order to bolster a specific aspect of his game. But don't worry about the weight gain affecting Miller's phenomenal get-off. No. I feel like for me, the difference between 235 and 245 is not really get-off, it's not really speed, it's not really getting hurt or getting injured, it's not really agility or anything like that, or my moves. Miller said Tuesday. It's when you get locked up with an offensive lineman and where you're able to go with that. At 235, you can go a certain direction with that when you're locked in with an offensive lineman. At 245, you can go just a little bit further with that. At 245 is where I want to be at. It's still not much. It's only 10 pounds. It's not a lot, but I need that 10 pounds. The Broncos are hitting the reset button, getting back to basics in order to rebuild the team back into a semblance of competitive form. For Pro Bowl running back Philip Lindsay, he's relishing the old-school approach and hopes that the Broncos will harken back to the smash-mouth days of the NFL when the team finally hits the practice field. He's already had a few words for us, Lindsay said Wednesday, via 9 News' Mike Kliss. He's a no-nonsense coach. He's going to be old school. I wouldn't be surprised if mini camp and training camp is like 1960s back in the day. We need it. Heading into 2019, the expectation was that Emmanuel Sanders would once again be the Broncos' #1 wide receiver when he returns from his Achilles injury. However, according to the second-year Courtland Sutton, there's a new player atop the Broncos' receiver depth chart. Having a year under my belt, I know what to expect for myself and what my teammates expect from me, Sutton said Tuesday. I'm excited going into this season knowing that I am going to get to be the #1 and I'll get all of those looks and all of the pressure. I'm excited about that. I want my teammates to look to me as that leader and that guy that is going to assume that role and take it and go with it as long as I possibly can. Sutton's declaration was more than a young receiver confidently proclaiming his mindset. No, it would seem that the Broncos have told Sutton that he's the new WR1 and to prepare accordingly. Of course, we'll await confirmation in our next opportunity to hear from Coach Fangio, or OC Rich Scangarello. Joe Flacco is the new sheriff in town. The Broncos acquired the former Super Bowl MVP quarterback via trade, and this week was Flacco's first opportunity to engage with his new teammates. The Broncos set up Flacco's locker right next to Von Miller, which puts the two team leaders in an equal footing of sorts. Miller and Courtland Sutton, among others, are working to help Flacco assimilate and hit the ground running as a Bronco. I talked to Joe, his locker's right next to me, Miller said Tuesday. I love the quarterbacks on our team. His locker's right next to me, and he's a great guy. He's the same guy that we thought he was going to be. He's taller than what he looks like on the football field. He's like 6'5" or something like that. That's always good, Sutton echoed Miller's sentiment. It's been good, Sutton said Tuesday. I actually walked up to him and he was like, "You have so much energy." I was like, "Get used to it. I get excited waking up in the morning. Being able to come here and this be my job and getting to be in an organization like this, it's an exciting thing for me." I told him, "Get used to it, because you're going to get a lot of it." Last year Todd Davis was named a team captain just months after signing a 3-year extension with the Broncos. Davis is now on his 4th head coach as a Bronco, and has been around to experience the ups and downs the team has experienced since he arrived in 2014. This time, though, Davis senses a new vibe in the air at Dove Valley. "I think it will be a little different," Davis recently told Mike Kliss of 9 News. "Every year it changes, but the guys we just lost were players I had played with a long time. Say it'll be different, but you have to build some new bonds and take in some new family members." There's no question that the arrival of Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack served as the final ingredients to get the Chicago Bears over the hump defensively in 2018. Fangio has waxed poetic on both Smith and Mack since arriving as Denver's new head coach. The message hasn't been lost on Bradley Chubb, suffice to say. In preparation for learning and executing Fangio's scheme, Chubb has been studying Mack's tape. "Definitely. That is pretty much all we're watching right now," Chubb said Thursday. "I've got it on the iPad and all of that. Just watching everything the Bears did last year, how they used Khalil, how they used Leonard Floyd. I feel like it's going to be special. As good as Mack and Floyd were for Fangio last year, Chubb and Miller have the chance to be even better." Denver's pass-rushing duo combined for a whopping 26.5 sacks in 2018 on a defense that never played with a lead outside linebacker also happens to be Fangio's position of expertise. Chubb and Miller are poised to have an enormous 2019 campaign. But first, the duo has to get down the nuance of Fangio's technique and scheme. "Sometimes they would have Khalil and Leonard on the same side," Chubb said. "Sometimes they had Khalil at a 3 technique with Leonard on the other side. Just all of the things that you can do. I think it's going to be special." With Rich Scangarello coming over from San Francisco, the Broncos' offensive players have been studying Niners film. Perhaps no individual player is more excited for Denver's new scheme than fullback Andy Janovich, who is fully aware of how much Scangarello's Niners under Kyle Shanahan utilized their fullback Kyle Juszczyk over the past 2 seasons. "I haven't gotten all the way through the playbook," Janovich said Thursday. "We're just 3 days in. I guess we'll see here. If it's anything like the 49ers, I think my role should increase from last year." Janovich, who famously took his first NFL carry 28 yards to the house back in 2016, wasn't used much by former OCs Bill Musgrave and Mike McCoy. Last season Janovich was used mostly as an ISO blocker. Janovich received 240 total snaps in 2018 and 172 of them were either run or pass blocking snaps. He finished with 2 carries for 5 yards, but showed once again that he can be more than a short yardage ball carrier or a lead blocker by hauling in 8 receptions for 112 yards and a touchdown. Juszczyk, a 3-time Pro Bowl fullback, received nearly 3 times the amount of snaps last year, and as a result, produced nearly 3 times as much offensively as Janovich.